everyone, today we're going to be learning how to do the ultimate front tuck, starting from the trampoline and then bringing it onto the floor and then finally from standing on the floor. This can be a really challenging skill to learn, especially for us girls, because if you've seen any other front tuck tutorials on YouTube, then you might have noticed that 99.9% of them are from guys. And this is because guys carry their weight in their shoulders, whereas girls carry most of their weight in their hips, just because of the way that our bodies are designed. So obviously these are generalizations, but that is why typically boys find it easier to learn a front tuck. But that doesn't mean that us girls can't learn as well. So keep watching if you want to start breaking some stereotypes and learn a really cool party trick. Before we do anything, it's so important to warm up properly to avoid injuries and also make it easier to learn the skill because you'll feel more bouncy. Start off with 10 tuck jumps as a pulse raiser, trying to go as high as you can because that's what you're going to need to do in the front tuck, and then roll your ankles out because that's where the biggest impact is going to be in this skill. Okay, before we learn a front tuck, make sure you have a really solid forwards roll. Now let's start with the trampoline. Although it is possible to learn the skill without trampoline, I find learning it on the trampoline first is so much easier because of the bounce you get, which allows you to focus solely on the technique of the front tuck rather than worrying about getting enough height and rotation. If you don't have access to a trampoline, what could work is going to some trampoline parks and practicing there, but if not, then don't worry, you can just do it on a mattress. Start off with some forwards rolls on the trampoline, making them faster and bouncier with each rep. Now try jumping into the forwards roll to make it a dive roll. Once you're confident with the dive roll, jump a little bit higher and you're going to try and go straight onto your back, turning the dive roll into a front pullover. Now keep working on this skill until you feel 100% confident with your front pullovers. Now use your hips to rotate a little bit faster, so instead of landing on your back, you land on your bum. And keep working on these, making them higher and faster and spinnier until you eventually manage to land on your feet. To stay in a nice tucked shape and make yourself spin faster, grab your knees and don't let go until you're able to see the ground. Once you feel confident in being able to land the front flip on the trampoline, and by confident I mean really confident because the ground is so much less forgiving, so you need to make sure that your technique is on point and your front tuck looks like this. Start by warming up some forwards rolls on the ground. I'd highly recommend starting on a sprung floor, but that is quite hard to access, so don't worry if you can't, just get a mattress to practice on first, because there is a pretty big chance that you'll finish the majority of your attempts on your bum. Now try a short run into the dive roll to test the waters a little bit, and then when you feel comfortable doing this, make the run more powerful and jump higher before you roll. So a few tips here. By a powerful run, I mean few steps but long and forceful steps, rather than tiny little fairy steps like this that aren't really going to get you anywhere. Also, make the dive roll as short as possible because then more momentum will be transferred to your height. Now it's time to go for the front tuck. This is going to seem really scary at first, but by following these tips and thinking about these things as you do, it will definitely increase your chances of landing. 1. Make the last step before your punch run as long as possible. 2. Think about opening your chest and keeping it as high as you can when you take off. 3. Get your hips up as much as you can by thinking about sending your bum into the ceiling. 4. Grab your shins and stay tucked for as long as possible, probably way longer than you'd expect. So with that, you're ready to go for the running front tuck. This is a hard skill, so it's completely fine if you take weeks or even months practicing and falling before you manage to land it. Just keep working on it, experimenting with different keywords, which is basically what you tell yourself before you go for a skill. And I'm sure you'll get there. Now we're going to think about turning the running punch front into a standing punch front. First we're going to learn a punch front from a jump. Start by standing with your arms by your sides, swing them about a third of the way up, then behind you, and then as you do a little jump and swing them up by your head, and on the next rebound, punch them forwards and inwards, keep your hips up and grab your shins until you land. That was quite a mouthful. Again, this progression takes a lot more power than the running front tuck. Don't beat yourself up about it if you can't do it yet. If you're struggling with this step, then try and shift your mindset from, oh, this is so hard that I'll never be able to do this, to, I'm so powerful, this is a hard skill, but if I work really hard and put loads of effort into it, then I will land on my feet. Like, this sounds so cringe, but by saying stuff like this to yourself, you're basically setting yourself up for success. Once you can comfortably and consistently land a jump front tuck, it's pretty much just about taking the jump away and doing it from standing. The arm motions stay the exact same, but instead of the jump, keep your feet on the floor and just slightly go up onto your toes before you take off. My biggest tip for the standing punch front is to focus on your hips as you take off and on grabbing your shins as hard as you can and not letting go as you spin. It's also a skill that is based primarily on strength and power. So to help yourself learn this, you should keep practicing the running punch front and the jump punch front because your power and rotation will increase the more you rep it, but also work on leg strength in general with exercises like burpees, squat jumps and box jumps if you've got access to a gym or somewhere where you can do those, because those are the exercises that will most help you increase your explosive power and help you learn your standing front tuck. Anyway, I really hope this video helped you get your punch front and standing punch front. Remember that these things take time, but you can try and decrease this time just by getting out there and practicing as much as you can. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more tumbling and general fitness related content, then feel free to subscribe down below, and you can also follow me on Instagram and TikTok for more tumbling videos and other stuff about my day-to-day life, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!